All pop culture references mentioned during this podcast are analyzed and scored by artificial intelligence. Jeff and Chris have learned not to argue with AI's decisions and strongly suggest you shut your mouth as well.
All right, Chris, so welcome back. We are on now,
Thank
what
you.
is it, episode 56.
56.
What? 56. We thought we were going to make it to, I think we said 10. Let's do at least 10 episodes, and that would be kind of fun. It would be like a little more than a joke, right? Or just a hobby,
Right.
but not so crazy. But here we are, episode 56. And as is now the way, let's jump right in by showing everybody who won the last episode, right? Episode 55 of Nice Poll. Who got the best polls, the most obscure polls, and won the contest as score-keeped by who, Chris? Who's keeping score?
By Allen Iverson, otherwise known as AI. And that's
right.
A basketball joke, and I know you're not much of a basketball fan, but AI, that was his
Are
nickname.
they still playing basketball? That's cool.
They
I
still
love that.
play basketball.
And they're still
do.
making
It's
the
on
ball
television.
go through the net. That's awesome.
It's on television and everything,
Mhm.
Jeff. You should check it out. Oh, of course, you don't get that kind of television, so you'd have to stream it. So never mind.
Whatever you're saying. Awesome. So yeah, hey, without further ado, let's go ahead and open up the liquor cabinet and see who won last episode of Nice Poll. All right, here we go. Ready? Oh, look at that.
Ow.
Look at that. Somebody snaked me by what? 40,000 points, Chris.
40,000 points.
Now, as we look through this, let's see what happened here. Okay, we talked about the bicentennial metric system. Yeah, bubblegum cigarettes, tobacco products, Big League Chew. We went into that Encyclopedia Britannica commercial with the world's most disingenuous, bored rich kid. We whistled, Chris. We whistled the Andy Griffith theme. We went back to our favorite topic, right? Middle-aged men picking up orphans in an RV for some strange reason in movies. And then we got into the Dewey Decimal System, a heartfelt Hallmark story of my own from a girl that I met in a library back in the day. And I think we did some microfiche references. But more than that, Chris, I have a score of 245,000, but my buddy Chris here, what does it say, Chris?
It says 285,000, which would be more. Okay, I mean, I don't, not a math genius as we've discussed previously. Look,
no, we did.
That's really close. I mean, it's 40,000 points. When you think about, because we literally have like 4 specific, polls, that
Cheers, categories.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, maybe we should name this. So it's not like it was like, oh, this was a cumulative over. It's like I had like 8 or 10 and added up those. No. And again, it's probably without our my old pal Robert Ginty from all those B revenge movies and Bob Black Sheep / Black Sheep Squadron probably goes in your favor. And I think, and to be really honest with you, I think, because the more I think about it, I think AI probably should have been a little more generous with your like initial helicopter pilots, which
well, it is odd,
just one of those, oh my God, you're right, kind of things. I think they were I think he got kind of screwed. 60,000 is a good score, but that should be up in Ginty category because anyway, I'll take it. I'll take my victory. And it's a microfiche nerd love. I think we need to turn that into some sort of script right as soon as we get done later on, because I can see that. I can see the possibilities with that.
At the very least, I'm not saying that that's a band that's playing Coachella, microfiche nerd love, but it sounds like an album. I'm thinking that Sleestack Hole's first album might be microfiche nerd love. I think that's fair to say. Well, anyway, there you go, man. That is a tight race. And again, 40,000 points. When it comes to AI, 40,000 points, that may as well have been 5 points. I mean, it was a very, very tight race. So for everybody, again, who's kind of new to this, all you have to do if you want to see the full detailed breakdown of who won and all the minutia that went into it, just go to nicepollpod.com, click on scoreboard, and there you go. You can scroll through all of the most recent episodes, and we will keep posting it up there for anyone who is that into it, frankly. Well, Chris, what's on the hot plate for today? What are we thinking?
We spent a lot of time, 55 episodes in, and we have made references along these lines. And what I'm talking about are some songs that, however you want to categorize them, one hit wonder or just, I don't know, cheesy, melodramatic, over the top, overly sentimental tunes, cheesy songs from the 70s and the 80s, and a handful that we're going to focus on, and then hopefully they're going to get stuck in your brain just like they are stuck in our brains right now. So,
well, the good news is, Chris, this is a real demographic red alert, right? So if you're listening to the show and you happen to be in a demographic, and I told you last time, right, when I looked at our little Spotify demographics, it does show you the age range, right? Shockingly, Chris, most people are between the age of 45 and 65 that listen to the show. So I think we're on point there. But we do have a decent percentage that, for whatever God awful reason, I don't know, you poor people, but God bless you for listening, but I can't imagine it's interesting, 25 to 35. And you're not going to know any of these songs. If you know even one of these songs, it's because your asshole parents played these again and again and again on a loop when you were a kid. That's the only logical reason why you would know these songs. But for everyone at home, obviously we don't need to play the song because you can instantly replay it in your mind as you've done 1,000 times. And I'm sure it's on your playlist right now. You may not have heard it in a few months, but I would love listeners to actually contact us on the website or nicepollpod@gmail.com and tell us, when was the last time you heard one of these songs that we're about to go over? Because I guarantee, Chris, someone's going to say, oh, I just listened to that today, right? Or you mean 3 hours ago? Yeah, that was, yeah, totally. So I think what would be fun, Chris, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and start to read the lyrics on the songs first. And that way the audience can kind of catch up. Usually most people within the first 2 sentences, I would imagine, but here we go, guys. We're going to dig into some of the most elaborate songs that have incredibly deep and rich stories for a 2-minute pop song.
Yeah.
And man, it gets confusing. So what do you say, Chris? I'm gonna read one to you right now. And I know you already know these, but let's dig in with my first one. And Chris, this one is going to take us to a wintry time of year, right? In Nebraska, Chris. And I'm of course talking about Yellow Mountain, right? That's where we are, Chris. Yeah.
Yellow Mountain,
and Chris,
Nebraska.
I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but she comes down from Yellow Mountain on a dark flatland. She rides. Are you with me so far?
I'm with you.
A whirlwind, Chris, a whirlwind by her side on a cold Nebraska night. Oh, they say she died one winter when there came a killing frost. And the pony she named
Wildfire.
There you go. On the pony she named Wildfire, busted down its stall. In a blizzard she was lost. She ran calling wildfire, calling wildfire, calling wildfire. So by the dark of the moon, Chris, I planted, but there came an early snow. Then a hoot owl howling outside my window now. Chris, this is a hoot owl, by the way, not any other kind of owl.
Oh, a specific kind of owl. Okay, got it.
Hoot owl.
Got it.
So it's hooting. About 6 nights in a row. That's a lot of hooting. Honestly, I love animals. Probably would have killed it. She's coming for me. I know. Okay. And on Wildfire, we're both going to go. We'll be riding Wildfire. Riding Wildfire, riding Wildfire. On Wildfire, we're gonna ride. Gonna leave sod busting behind. Thank God, by the way, because that's not a life for anybody. Get the hard times right on out of our minds. Wildfire, riding Wildfire.
First of all, this song's about 5 minutes long. Okay, which 3 minutes 45 seconds is like your standard pop song, right? I mean, that's kind of the
long,
thing where they
actually.
shoot.
That's
for.
long. Yeah.
Okay. But so 5 minutes. But again, the 70s, it's a long ass song. Okay. And so I'm listening to it, and it gets into a full like 59 seconds before you even hear a lyric. Okay. And so it's like, wow. Yeah. And starts talking about, yes, coming down. What's the mountain again, Jeff? This
well, Chris, I think we all know Yellow Mountain.
Mountain
over there in Nebraska,
which we learn about. Is Nebraska.
Yeah.
After that, so you get into Yellow Mountain and Nebraska.
Yeah.
And before you know it, somebody's dead. Right.
Yeah.
It's like and
that's a theme.
Well, let me jump back in this sense. First of all, we're talking about a pony, right?
Yeah.
Named Wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are ponies small? I always thought ponies were small, but supposedly or is pony just another name for a young horse? I don't know. Horse lovers out there, let me know. I don't know. So I've already confused. I'm not sure who's dead. The rider is dead. Mm-hmm. The pony's dead. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm just not interpreting the lyrics well enough.
Yeah.
But she runs calling Wildfire. Do horses come back like dogs? Like, if you call them by name, will they come running back? Do horses know their names? I don't know. Maybe they do. 45 seconds into the lyrics, I'm not sure who's dead. I'm not sure what exactly happened. I'm not sure how exactly it happened. And I'm not sure what the resolution is, other than it's just sort of this story, this myth about she ran calling Wildfire.
Yeah.
Somebody's dead. She's dead. The pony's dead. The neighbor's dead. The stable boys. I'm just confused from beginning to the end. But at the same time, I cannot get this freaking song out of my head. Because all I know is she ran calling Wildfire. You know what I mean? It just goes on and on. Like I said, this is a 5-minute song. It might as well be a 5-hour song because there doesn't seem to be really, to me, I don't get the resolution. I get lost in the vague storytelling, but at the same time, I'm hooked. And it's just like, it's a 70s classic for that reason.
Well, get used to that theme, Chris, because every single song that we're about to showcase on this episode is usually vague as fuck, right? You really have to fill in the blanks. So in this song, and yes, I did do a little research on it, on what people have thought the lyrics mean versus what I can deduce from the actual song. But to your first point, oh my God, that chorus. She ran calling Wildfire. I mean, we can all play that 1,000 times over and over again. Chris, I think that song was on every Sessions Presents. Now from K-Tel, those compilation albums, the one-hit wonders, Solid Gold.
Right.
You'll get Wildfire. You'll get Billy Don't Be a Hero. You'll get, so it was always on there. But here's what happened. For sure, we know that the horse got loose somehow. It doesn't indicate how the horse got loose, but horses will be horses, right? Ponies, God knows, right? So it gets loose. And like so many 1970s movies and TV shows, people are super into their animals. They are still to this day, right? But I'm thinking of every single person on the crew of the Nostromo in the movie Alien, where they're all looking for a fucking cat when a acid-blooded death machine is after them. Yeah,
where's Jonesy?
Yeah, right. Jonesy.
Who survives, spoiler alert.
Right, and then later turns out to be the drummer for the Sex Pistols. So, so this love of animals, I get it, but she obviously goes out into the cold, and we know right away that she died looking for the horse. Now, this guy, they don't say whether it's the husband, the boyfriend, or whoever, the love interest, someone that cares about her. He planted something and it's all cold outside. And now there's a hoot owl, like an omen. I get this almost like a raven thing, nevermore, right? It's almost like that Edgar Allan Poe thing where his lost love and the bird keeps foretelling what happened. I'm getting the sense that this guy is either going to die because it's a cold Nebraska winter, or he's going to kill himself, if I may be so bold. But I think he's given in to death here. And for some reason, he doesn't blame the fucking horse. Now here, Chris, hear me out a second.
Pony.
What the hell, right? If I knew that my wife went out, or a girlfriend, to find the horse, and she died senselessly looking for a horse, I wouldn't be thinking, gosh, if I could only join them and ride with them in heaven. I would be thinking, fuck that horse. Seriously. If that horse were alive, I would kill it right now. That's what I would be thinking. But this guy's obviously a nice human, and I'm a piece of shit. I get that. But that's my take, right?
Well, okay, you're being too hard on yourself. I absolutely agree. You were really deep. I didn't get this. I mean, again, I've heard this song 4,000 times probably.
Yeah,
really
I may have read too much into it, Chris. I may have gone too far on that one.
I mean, I'm sure somewhere somebody could tie this song to the grassy knoll or something along those lines if you really
I already have
that stretch
and the moon landing.
You of all people.
Yeah.
I think maybe I think that the fact that the melody, you know, and the intro and then really the outro of this song is so calming and soothing, but they're talking about this horrible sort of, like I said, this death and this the I almost said horse, the pony. And again, is it a pony called Wildfire because maybe you know, a horse called Wildfire just didn't flow, so they just changed it to pony? Because I will go again, I'm thinking a pony is too small for the things they're describing.
I never thought of that. Good point, man. How old is this person? Who rides a pony? Right? Ponies are little.
They're little. So kids want ponies. They go on pony rides.
Maybe this isn't about his wife. Maybe this is his daughter.
I'm thinking, see, I thought it was daughter. I thought it was like a young girl whose life.
Yeah.
See, at this point, I thought it was a young girl, and so then maybe if she's the dead one, then her life is then it's much more tragic. At the same time, it's like, what kind of a madman writes a song about a young girl who dies because her pony escapes and she's trying to find the pony? It's just like, man, that's dark.
Now we have an equestrian catch-22. Here's what I mean. You can't have it both ways, right? So if it's a pony, then an adult is not going to ride a pony. But then again, it never said she was riding the pony. It just said she was looking for the pony. So maybe she was never riding the pony. But later the guy says, I'm going to ride Wildfire with her. He's fantasizing. And now it can't be a fucking pony, Chris, because it was hard enough for the full-grown woman to get on the pony. Now you've got this fucking guy, presumably a 200+ pound guy, and the woman, and now they're both riding the pony. Look, they said it's a pony. They made the fucking rules, Chris, not me. It's their universe. I'm just saying you can't fit a grown adult, let alone two grown adults, on a pony unless they're both homunculins or little people, right? Is that what they are?
Jesus Christ.
Are they little people? If they are, now I'm chilled to the bone. Now I don't like the song at all.
It's a totally different song, but it's a totally different song with a horse because, again, yes, the pony. Oh, the pony. It absolutely. And so now that makes a little bit more sense. At the same time, it makes less sense because I'm even more confused. How far can a pony
put pony
get?
in there on purpose, Chris. It didn't rhyme with anything to my recollection. Pony is a very hard, unless the guy's name was Tony. I don't think there's any reason to put that in there, right?
The girl's name was Joni.
Or you're Tommy James, and we're talking about Moni. It doesn't make any sense lyrically at all. Or you see me trying to sneak polls in there, Chris?
Right. Or if it's Richie.
That was a blatant poll sneak. Yeah, sorry.
Richie and Joni Cunningham, right?
That's a band, by the way, the poll sneakers. All right.
There you go. No, so you're right. So it makes it even more like, how far could a pony get? And then maybe this is a song about the absolute...
Another good point. How fucking far could a pony even get? Where's it going? How far? Most ponies would go, oh, fuck, this is cold. I think I'll go back to the barn where there's a bunch of oats.
Right.
How?
Right. Or if this was a little girl, how far could the little girl get? Right? That without... And then, is this really just a commentary on the world's worst parenting? It's like, hey, didn't we have a daughter? It's like, isn't there a storm growing on? You know, it's like maybe she's on the mountain. This is Nebraska, for God's sakes.
Well, now you've got a deadbeat dad that is not taking care of his kid. That's child neglect right there. He left her alone in the barn. Now she's dead. And now the guy's so weird and demented that he thinks he's going to get on a pony with his dead daughter. Oh, and by the way, the pony's also dead. How's that going to solve anything? The whole thing has now become this nightmare of logic. I don't know where we're at, but Chris, I do know that she did run calling Wildfire. I do know.
She did. She ran to her death, or maybe the pony's death.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the beauty of this song, is that it's completely completely open to our twisted interpretations from that time and now decades later. So nice. That was a nice contribution. I like that. So now I got one for you.
Yeah, let's hear it. I want to hear your song. Go for it.
Ahem. Goodbye to you, my trusted friend. We've known each other since we were 9 and 10. It's very specific. Together we've climbed hills and trees, learned of love and ABCs, skinned our hearts and skinned our knees. Goodbye, my friend. It's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. Now that spring is in the air, pretty girls are everywhere. We need to talk about that. Think of me and I'll be there. We had joy, we had fun. Jeff, the next line is... We had seasons in the sun.
Well, Chris, you have to keep going on this because we got to tell the whole story. This is a very sordid story.
All right. But the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Goodbye, Papa. Papa, and it's a very specific, this guy, Papa, not Papa or Pops or Grandpa. Goodbye, Papa. Please pray for me. I was the black sheep of the family.
Mm-hmm.
You tried to teach me right from wrong, too much wine and too much song. I don't know if that's either Papa or the singer.
Yeah.
Wonder how I got along. Goodbye, Papa, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the spring is in the air, little children everywhere. Now, a few minutes ago, it was like pretty girls, and now it's switched to children.
Yep.
When you see them, I'll be there. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the wine and the song, like the seasons, have all gone. Goodbye, Michelle, my little one. You gave me love.
This is the part that always gets me. This is where you start. If you haven't started crying yet, you're going to start crying now.
Right,
okay,
right. You gave me love and helped me find the sun. And every time that I was down, you would always come around and get my feet back on the ground. Goodbye, Michelle. It's hard to die. When all the birds are singing in the sky, now that the spring is in the air with the flowers everywhere. Mm-hmm. I wish we could both be there. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. Mm-hmm. But the stars we could reach were just starfish on the beach.
Wow.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. But the wine and the song, like the seasons, have all gone. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. But the hills that we climbed, Jeff, were just seasons out of time. Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks.
You had me on Starfish on the Beach, because that was a reach lyrically. I know it probably sounded really good to Terry Jacks at the time, just like rhyming nylon with pylon sounded great to our buddy. What's his name? You know, our buddy that likes to rhyme nylon with pylon.
Sammy Hagar?
No, the guy that does Jesse's Girl. You know the guy.
No, that point is moot. Yes, Rick Springfield.
Springfield, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So look, every single person that ever heard that song, not the first time, but the 100th time, it's always the same, right? Two reactions. Number one, oh my God, I love this song. Or number two, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. And not because the song sucks. In my opinion, it's, melodically and all that, it's a really pretty song, but it's pretty damn heart-wrenching. If you have even the slightest bit of psychological damage or trauma or anxiety or anything you're going through in your life, this song is not going to heal you. This song is going to send you to the bottom of a bottle of painkillers. Yeah, it's going to destroy you. So I would like to see the statistics on how many people finished that song dead. Just drove the car right off a cliff. It's just one of the most depressing songs.
Like you almost
time.
did.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think it's pretty straightforward when you look back at it. When you look at the lyrics, when you actually, somebody who's basically saying goodbye. He's a failed, alcoholic, failed father, failed son. Everything. His good friend that he's known since they were 9 or 10, which goes back a ways. His daughter Michelle. He's let everybody down. Okay. He was the black sheep of the family. Apparently is a bad time to die. Spring is the worst time to die. I don't know. I didn't know that, but according, um, because of all the great things that are happening in spring, there are pretty girls everywhere. There are children everywhere.
Right. Sure.
But this song is, I don't want to belittle anybody's, position in life.
What show are you on? This is this podcast, Chris. Did you forget where you are? What are you talking about right now?
I apologize.
If you don't want to belittle, I have a lot of fucking editing to do on the last 55 episodes.
All right. Okay. I take it back. Rewind that. I would like to belittle the songwriter Terry and performer Terry Jacks.
Okay.
It's like, I don't want to hear this. Okay. I mean, I guess, and I think maybe
he just yawned from his stack of $100 bills that he's using to light his cigar 50 years later. But okay, go ahead. You tell Terry Jacks how upset you are with this song.
But I think maybe, and I think what we're hitting on with, first we had Wildfire, and now we're talking Seasons in the Sun, and we got a couple other we want to discuss. But it's like these storytelling aspects, okay, that came from this period, where it's like, you know what, man? It's like, I'm not going to make you think at all. I'm not going to talk in the abstract, or I'm not going to have you interpret my song, right? Whether it's, I don't know, let's just talk about something, whether it's Paint It Black or Let It Be, or I don't care, or The Immigrant Song, or Anarchy in the UK. I don't care. I'm going to give you, these songs are essentially, I'm going to lay out a story that is sad and, is sort of maudlin and sentimental. And I'm just going to lay it on really super thick to the point of like, hey, I'm going to take you from point A to point B. I'm a drunk. I'm disappointed. All these people, I'm dying at the worst possible time. But I got a few things to say before I go.
Well, I guess you didn't read what I read about the guy that's dying is actually Pappy Boyington. So that lyric does make sense. So
that's an intentional pull. Okay.
I did read. Well, we've already done
Stop sandbagging.
Boyington, so that's not going to be that poll's already been pulled. So I did do some reading up on this song because everyone does the same thing. When I first heard that song, in my mind, for no reason at all, because it's not in the lyrics, I thought this was a guy who was dying in Vietnam. I think somebody told me.
Oh.
And so it was extra heartbreaking, right? This is a guy who's on the battlefield, and as he's dying, he's reflecting on all the important people in his life, and he wishes he was there, and he wishes he could say goodbye. I almost think that would be an even better theme in a way, kind of like extra sad. But here's how it went down, Chris. Get this. So this song was composed by a French gentleman, and it was a totally different story. The story was, and then it was interpreted into English by an American poet. Their names escape me. You can look it up. But the original story was he is confessing to his priest, not his literal father, his wife, and his best friend, Antoine. And he knows that Antoine and his wife have had an affair, but he doesn't care because he's dying and he loves them and he just wants to forgive them and put everything to rest, right? So that's pretty heartbreaking. That's a heartbreaking story. Terry Jacks decided to pick that baton up and then go in a different direction. Now, to be fair to Terry Jacks, I don't know if this is true or not, but it says Terry Jacks didn't want to be that depressing. So instead, it's just a guy singing to his father, to your point, about being the black sheep and not a good son. And he's singing, I think presumably to his daughter, little one. And so
Michelle.
If you can somehow convince me that that's less depressing than the other story that I just told you, I think that's pretty fucking depressing as well. So I don't know.
It's my point exactly. Who made Terry Jacks the arbiter of what is, it's like this other guy's song is really sad, and the Vietnam, but see, the Vietnam aspect would totally change it, because this guy's in Vietnam. He probably didn't sign up for that, right? And he's in a foxhole, and shit's blowing up everywhere, and he's like sort of like just apologizing, and he's, but he didn't probably put himself there. Whereas the other guy, if he like had too much wine and too much song, or the other guy who was just sort of a, doofus that like his wife and his best friend and all these kind of, so equally tragic. So I don't know, depending on your perspective at the time, it's all really sad and sentimental. And at the same time, it's like, man, who wanted to hear this? You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, play that song, man. Who went to? Okay, my wife talks about how when they were, it was a treat for them. Like every Friday, their dad would go to Gemco and buy like the 45s from like the top 10 or whatever from the week, or like 49 cents or 99 cents. Who would go to Gemco on a Friday night and put down their hard-earned 99 cents on this song? Because it's like, hey, let's go into the weekend talking about Goodbye, Michelle, It's Hard to Die.
Yeah.
And Papa, I'm just a loser. And hey, we were friends since we were 9 and 10. You've known me for our whole lives. Well, guess what? Yeah. Now you've just known me for, my life's over. It's like, who's buying this? Again, what producer, what record label saying, let's put that out, man. I think we're going to sell we're going to go gold with that.
Chris, they went platinum, I guess, right? I mean, the answer to that question is every fucking person is going to buy that album.
Why?
I don't know, but that was the 70s, man. And it was really good storytelling. It created really strong visuals at a time when all you had, again, was 2 or 3 TV channels, and VHSs weren't even around yet. And what else are you going to do, man? It's like a soap opera. And, I don't know who the big demographic was, if it was more female or male, but yeah, I mean, it's good storytelling regardless. But those first 4 notes of that song with that guitar effect, dun 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 dun, that's how it starts, right? Dun 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 dun. But that's the moment back in the 70s when you're either going to jump across the back seat of the car to turn the radio to the other station, or you're going to go, oh my God, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. One of those 2 things. But to this day, when I hear dun, 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 I can't listen to it. It is too depressing. He did a great job of creating a mood. Good for him, man.
Maybe we push one of those clunky buttons. Remember those clunky buttons? On the, it was like a little thunk. It was like you had to press that thing hard. Okay, well, pull me out. Okay, you've got to have something. Terry Jacks.
We're in a nosedive here.
If I'm not careful, Terry Jacks is going to ruin my whole day. So, So counterbalance the Terry Jacks.
I will. So, Chris, this next dramatic, messy, emotional story. We've already mentioned in the past, and I've already kind of poked fun at, but this was a song that, of course, was famously sung by Vicki Lawrence. And then later, my understanding is Reba McEntire, of course, also sang it and made it quite famous.
Both of your favorites. You're big fan of both.
Actually, they're both, super cool. Two redheads for some reason. I don't know if that's a thing, but anyway, both super cool women. But that's not the point, Chris. This song has strange imagery, very complicated storyline, almost like a 2020 cold case hard copy type of a thing, right? Where this is a murder case unfolding in front of you. And so obviously everyone probably already knows what I'm going to say next, but I'm going to read the lyrics. We got to get through this bit by bit, Chris, because to say this is a convoluted story is a little bit of an understatement. So here we go. Now get Yellow Mountain out of your mind, because now this guy's coming home from Candletop. Okay, so I'm assuming it's a rural area, right? But this is not Yellow Mountain. This is Candletop. He was on his way home from Candletop, been 2 weeks gone, and thought he'd stop at Webb's and have him a drink, for he went home to her. Okay, this is kind of a country song, so you got to say for instead of before. Okay. Andy Wolo said hello. Now, Chris, that's how it's written. Andy Wo-Low. Okay, whatever that means. Was he a Native American that took a different name or had some kind of a hyphenated thing? I don't quite get it. Andy Wolo said hello. He said, hi, what's new? Pretty good lyrics already, right? And Woe said, sit down, I've got bad news. That's gonna hurt. Okay, they're not even trying to rhyme. That's fine. Said, I'm your best friend, and you know that's right, but your young bride ain't home tonight. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, boy.
Right? Since you've been gone, sorry, she's been seeing that
Thank you,
Amos boy. She's been seeing that Amos boy, Seth. Okay, now Amos must be the last name, right? That Amos boy, Seth.
I hope so.
Yeah. Now, and it's Amos, you weirdos. Now he got mad and he saw red. Okay, so the guy goes into the bar. He's just trying to have a drink. His best buddy, Andy Wolo, says, "Hey, man, your bride is missing, and I'm going to tell you something that's about to hurt you very much. She's been seen, right, with this Seth guy, right? Seth Amos, I get. Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Andy said, boy, don't lose your head, right? Because when you see someone go red, Chris, you don't want them to lose their head, right? That's the next thing.
Not one of those Amos boys.
Because to tell you the truth, I've been with her myself." What the F? Chris, this guy is confessing that he also was with the bride. A lot has been happening in this guy's abstinence, and probably should rethink this marriage, is my guess so far. All right. So now we get into the chorus. "That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. That's the night that they hung an innocent man. Well, don't trust your soul to no backwoods Southern lawyer, 'cause the judge in town's got bloodstains on his hands." Huh?
Jesus.
Hold that thought for a second. Just put a pin in that. Okay, so corrupt judge, I guess. Now, Andy got scared and left the bar, okay, because he saw that this guy has gone red, right? He's upset. So Andy's going to bail, right? And again, Andy is the guy who has been messing around with his bride and thought it would be a good idea to confess that in a backwards rural town where everyone is armed. Good for you, Andy. Smart. So walking on home, because he didn't live far, okay, Andy didn't have many friends, Chris, and he just lost him one. Okay, again, I don't see where you're trying to rhyme. Maybe that's not this kind of a song. Brother thought his wife must have left town, so he went home and finally found the only thing Daddy had left him, and that was a gun. He went off to Andy's house, slipping through the backwoods, quiet as a mouse. Okay, finally, we have something rhyming, house and mouse. I'm not going to say it's the best rhyme, but it's along the Dr. Seuss kind of a thing. Good job. Came upon some tracks too small for Andy to make. Oh my gosh, Chris. He's heading to the place where Andy lives. He's got his daddy's gun. He looks down and he sees tracks, but Chris, these aren't large adult male tracks. These are smaller tracks. What are you thinking, Chris? A rabbit? A small deer? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, maybe a badger. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a badger. He looked through the screen at the back porch door, and he saw Andy, dun, 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 lying on the floor in a puddle of blood, and he started to shake. Now, guess what happens, Chris? Pretty conveniently, the Georgia Patrol was making their rounds. So what does our protagonist do, right? He fired off a shot just to flag him down. That's always smart, by the way. Fire a gun,
absolutely,
a rifle near the cops.
Maybe in the air.
Right. That'll get their attention. Just to flag them down. Okay. A big-bellied sheriff grabbed his gun and said, "Why'd you do it?" Okay, so this is kind of a Boss Hogg vibe is what I'm getting, right?
Ooh, Boss Hogg.
Yeah. The judge said guilty.
Nice pull.
On a make-believe trial, slapped the sheriff on the back with a smile, said, "Supper's waiting at home and I gotta get to it." So obviously there was some kind of a kangaroo court. The guy is very quickly convicted by two very corrupt people. And Chris, that's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. That's the night that they hung an innocent man. Well, don't trust your soul to no backwards Southern lawyer, because the judge in the town's got bloodstains on his hands. Well, they hung my brother before I could say. The tracks he saw while on his way to Andy's house and back that night were mine. What the hell, Chris? Who is this person? Now, who is the narrator? The tracks were mine. Who is this person? And his cheating wife hadn't really left town, Chris. Get this. That's one body that will never be found. Ooh. Yeah?
This is a mystery. What is happening?
So here, I'm going to lay it on you right now. You see, Chris, little sister don't miss when she aims her gun. Yeah. Marinate on that for a second. His younger sister got revenge on his behalf. Okay. Now, that's the night that the lights went out in Georgia, obviously, Chris. And that's the night that they hung an innocent man. We got the backward Southern lawyer because a judge in town's got blood stains on his hands. And then it just repeats that again. So, am I piecing this together correctly? The sister found out that the girl was cheating on her brother, murdered her, got rid of the body. Everyone thought she had just left town, and she had just gone to Andy's house to kill him as well. Then the brother shows up, and unfortunately the timing is bad. And am I to assume, Chris, that he was hung like 2 minutes later? Because you would think that the sister would have enough time to confess that it was really her. So get this, Chris, you're the sister. You're trying to help your brother by getting revenge for him, but you don't stand up for him at all during this proceeding, and he gets hung for doing something that he didn't do. But Chris, he would have done had he been let to do. So is he a murderer? No. But is he a thought crime murderer? Kind of like that Tom Cruise movie, right? Minority Report. Yes. Yes, he's a thought crime murderer. So that's my take on it.
How long is this song?
Chris, this song is 45 minutes long. Now, I realize that back in the 70s, it only felt like a 3-minute song, but the song, shockingly, is 45 minutes and 20 seconds. So, yeah.
There is so much happening in this song. So much. And I think the first question was this bride wearing a white dress? But I guess that doesn't really make any difference at when you unpack everything that happens, right? Because apparently the bride got around a little bit.
A little bit.
I think
a little bit. She's banging the dude that is her fiance. She's banging the Amos boy. God only knows what that's all about. And she's definitely having sex with Andy. And that's the least of it. So we don't even know what else is happening.
Amos and Andy. Now I'm making the connection.
Well, very good. I never made that connection. That's right. Amos and Andy. Wow.
Who is she? Right? It's like she's apparently got the secret life. You've got corrupt judges. You've got, with a bloodstained judge or something like that, right? So he's hanging
Well, he's
people
got bloodstains on his hands, Chris. He's apparently he's a corrupt judge, which is shocking for a rural town back in the day. Yeah.
Right. Guns and corrupt judges and, and shooting. I mean, I think we're kind of can't see the old proverbial forest for the trees here. It's like maybe the point is like that's not really a big deal in the big picture. And and that's the night the lights went out. Is this a metaphor, or is this really a statewide blackout? Why is this song appealing to you? Do you want to? It's like there are people. Hey, is it that old? Well, you put it all in perspective, and there's always somebody who's got it worse off than you, right? Because I don't know what other else that I'm supposed to take from this song, because nobody really comes out on top. There are a lot of, I don't know, maybe losers is not the right word, but there are a lot of people that there are a lot of people that are lacking in this song.
I will say the person that comes out on top is the little sister who gets to just go around revenge killing. Yeah, and doesn't ever have to get any sort of punishment for it. I think she came out on top for sure. I don't know if there was an inheritance coming up, but her brother's not going to fucking collect on the inheritance. So that she's got that going for her.
Which is nice.
That's what I would say here. And again, just like we did with Seasons in the Sun, here would have been a much better version of the song. Are you ready for my one little spin, Chris? If you will allow me.
I'm ready.
I thought when I first heard the song that the guy was electrocuted, and that's why the lights went out in Georgia, right? Because they electrocuted an innocent man, all of the lights went out, right? Because this was sort of a bad omen that they had killed an innocent guy. And that was my sort of take on it. Like, oh, I get it. They electrocuted him and this was against God's will. So the whole town went black as a reminder to blah, blah, blah. That's what I thought it was, but they hung him. So what the fuck are the lights going out for? I don't know. Or was this just coincidentally a night that the lights went out? And if the lights did go out, how does that matter? Who fucking cares? That's almost like saying, and that's the same night the dishwasher started acting up. It's just like, what's the relevance of that? I don't get it.
I think that's perfect. I think your interpretation is perfect. And now I think that's an interesting song, and maybe I would like to listen to it. now that I look at it through your lens, and that's because you're a musician and I'm not.
Well,
That's
sure.
where it comes
Well,
from.
that's nice of you to say. But I guess the one thing that I will say on all these songs, what did they have in common and why were they so popular? Yeah, they told a story, which is fun, and we were starved for stories back then. But they also have really hooky choruses, right? She ran calling wildfire, right? That's a night that the lights went out in Georgia. All of these songs have a hooky chorus, and so even if you don't want to listen to all the lyrics, you can still bop your head in the back of the, Datsun pickup truck on your way to the beach as you're sitting on the wheel well, about to fall out on the freeway at 75 miles an hour, right? So I think that's probably the biggest reason that these songs were hits. But Chris, we've only scratched the surface. We actually, for everybody listening in, we did have a couple more songs lined up. And by a couple more, I think 200 more songs lined up. So we'll definitely get to those in the next episode.
Well, Jeff, what do you think? Until next time. Until next time. And until next time. Next time.
That's the time that I said next time to Chris. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Let's just end there. This is getting weird.
Okay. All right.